The Google Pixel 5. It's finally here. We can talk about it. You may, if you follow me on Twitter, may have seen me tweeting photos of it and kind of hinting at various different things. I even asked the r/Google Pixel community on Reddit for their questions on what they want me to cover. Now, I'm not going to be going too in-depth. My written review on the XDA portal is more what you're going to be looking for if you want to see kind of my in-depth thoughts with benchmarks and all the usual stuff XDA is known for. This is just kind of a review of what it's like in the daily life of the Google Pixel 5. I've heard a lot of the controversy obviously in regards to the fact that it has that Snapdragon 765G, but you know what? I don't miss it. I don't miss the Snapdragon 865. This is Adam Conway with XDA TV. The Google Pixel 5 is the latest and greatest flagship smartphone from Google. You could call these the iPhones of the Android world, not because they have anything akin to iPhones, but the fact that they are, I guess, nearly the defining smartphone in the Android world in the sense of it's made by Google, much like Android, and so therefore it's going to have some of the same design philosophies and decisions and all that stuff that Google would also employ in their Android operating system. The Google Pixel 5, as I've said though, there has been some controversy. The Snapdragon 765G has been primarily the source of that. People are somewhat perturbed by the fact that Google, unlike previous years, in their flagship haven't actually brought in a flagship chipset. Now you can argue why that may be. Personally, I think it's because of the rising cost of 5G. Now, there are obviously flagship killers on the market, but none that are in that like €300 price bracket that we've seen at least one of generally every year. And we think it's probably because 5G is expensive for companies to implement. And so it's possible that Google may have ended up deciding that they're going to go with the 765G because in their testing, the performance is nearly as good while still cutting off a lot of the cost, because smartphones are more than just the sum of their parts. There is a lot that goes into R&D, into all the software stuff. Google's cameras, which we'll get into, are fantastic. There's a lot more than just the components, and I think that's what's happened here. I think that's why Google has decided to go with the 765G, because if I'm honest, it's not really too noticeable. Now, along with that 765G, you do get 8GB of RAM, and you get 128GB of UFS 2.1 storage. You get a 4080 mAh battery too, which charges with 18W fast charging. It's not too fast, but you know what, it's fine. It uses USB power delivery, so most of your main power delivery chargers will actually work with it. I got it working with my Huawei MateBook charger, which is great because it means that I only need to carry that around with me. I also have RAV power USB-C adapters that will also charge it, so you know, it saves you having to kind of invest in these proprietary chargers from the likes of, say, OnePlus or Xiaomi or Oppo. It's just one charger that works with most of your devices and will at least fast charge them in some way, shape or form. Along with that, you get the wireless charging capabilities. People were unsure how this would work because of the whole 100% recycled aluminium thing. It seems to be some form of property. I haven't actually asked my contact at Google about this, but I believe it seems to be some sort of property with the fact that because it's recycled aluminium, there seems to be some way they've placed the charging coil that you can actually charge it, because the charging coil is just in the center. You can just slap it down the charging pad and it works. I mean, like, that's pretty good. It charges at 12W, so it's about a third slower than wired charging, but it's more convenient. So for me, for example, when I'm just on my computer, I put down my phone, rather than just putting it on my desk, I move a little bit to the left and put it on my wireless charging pad and it works. So it's pretty handy to have that. Same with my wireless earphones, and you can actually reverse wireless charge. So I've been able to charge my earphones off of the phone. That's pretty cool too. But of course, I haven't gotten into the display, which is one of the best parts of this phone if I'm honest. It's a 6-inch 90Hz 1080p OLED. It's not the best in the world, I will admit, but it's very, very good. There are better phones out there with better screens at this price point, sure, but you're not really paying for just the screen now, are you, with this phone? There's a lot of stuff, primarily software, I'll be getting into soon. However, that 90Hz OLED is fantastic. I kind of hinted at this as well in my written hands-on for XDA. I didn't know how much I could talk about before the review embargo. However, it's good. It's on par with pretty much any other 90Hz panel I've tested out there. And 90Hz, I mean, like, I like 120Hz, and as a PC gamer who uses a 144Hz monitor consistently, I don't mind having 90Hz instead of 120Hz. I switched to this from the Oppo Find X2 Pro, and I'm not considering switching back anytime soon. What I especially love about that 6-inch screen as well is the fact that I can use the phone one-handed. I have fairly smaller hands, and I didn't really notice how much of an unwieldy beast the likes of the Oppo Find X2 Pro were until I switched over to this, then picked up my Oppo Find X2 Pro earlier today, and it was kind of like, I need to use two hands to hold it, while this I use in one hand pretty much all the time, no issues. And you can swipe down on that fingerprint sensor on the back and it'll pull down your notifications so you don't need to reach up to the very top of your phone. Now, other specifications include the dual speakers. Now, I was a bit disappointed by these dual speakers. The bottom firing speaker works in tandem with the top firing speaker, but the top firing speaker is underneath the display. You actually end up losing a good bit of sound quality. My Pixel 4a has better sound quality than the speakers on this, which was really disappointing. I'm not too pushed about it, I don't really care, but I was kind of surprised because this is a €600 phone and I kind of expect better audio quality than a phone that costs what, 300, 400? Like, it's a bit disappointing, but it's fine. I don't use speakers on my phone a lot, and I doubt a lot of people do, but it's something to keep in mind that if you do, maybe, you know, look at other options, even the Pixel 4a, for example. Finally, on the back, you also get that fingerprint sensor, just like in previous Pixels, along with the dual camera module setup at the top left, which houses the main sensor and a wide angle. We'll be getting into those later, because that is my favorite part of the Pixel 5. Now, the specifications kind of covered. What's it like to actually use the Pixel 5? The Pixel 5 by and large has been fantastic. I've had no issues. Android 11 is brilliant. I prefer it a lot more than on Oxygen OS 11 on the OnePlus 8 Pro. I really enjoy Android 11 on the Pixel primarily because it is mostly, like, it's close to stock Android. This is a common misconception, is it is not stock Android. Stock Android is AOSP. There are pretty much no devices on the market that I can think of that actually use stock Android, but the Pixel is one of the closest. It's packed full of Google features that work very well with your device, which means that it's not stock Android, but it shares the exact same look as stock Android, which is good enough for most people, including myself. Now, actually using the phone is great. Setting it up was also a very nice experience. You stick in the USB-C cable in the Pixel, you stick it in your old phone, it copies everything over and then downloads your apps. It's pretty handy, a lot nicer, because obviously I switch phones quite often, so it's very nice to kind of have a streamlined process to switch from one phone to the other in about 15-20 minutes in total, as opposed to what would nearly turn into a several-hour ordeal between copying over everything and trying to get everything set up. Obviously you still have to set up WhatsApp, which is difficult and really annoying. But the rest of it is grand. The rest of it is fine. I was very happy with the setup process. So when you set up the Google Pixel 5, you'll notice that there's been some small changes in some of your, I guess, most commonly used apps. The Google Camera app has been redesigned, and the Google Recorder app actually has a really cool feature. You can record audio clips, so just voice notes or whatever, then export it as a video clip with the transcription playing over. So if you've seen voice tweets on Twitter, it's effectively that, but through the Google Recording app, and you can have transcriptions of what you're saying at the top. So they will show the transcription and highlight what you're saying as you say it in the video clip. Hey guys, this is Adam Conway from XDA. I'm just testing out the voice transcriptions, voice clipping thing on the Google Pixel 5's sound recorder. I realized you can kind of use this as nearly a voice tweet kind of system, because that only exists on iPhones at the moment. But if you record on your phone on the Pixel 5 and then export it as a video clip with the transcript, it's basically the same thing. So yeah, that's just kind of what I'm showing off here. Battery life is also fantastic. I've been getting about 7 to 8 hours screen on time daily. Like, it's actually nuts. It's obviously because of that 765G coupled with the massive battery, because the battery is big primarily for 5G usage, but we don't have 5G in Ireland, so I'm just benefiting from the massive battery, the more efficient chipset, without actually using the thing that the battery was primarily upped for. So that obviously helps a lot. But if you aren't going to be using 5G, even with 90Hz on, I'm getting 7 to 8 hours screen on time. If you switch off that 90Hz screen, you're going to get even better. Now, the beauty of a Pixel device is there isn't really much bloatware. There's all those software features, and as a continuation of the new apps or the changed apps, you also get stuff such as the Now Playing, which again, I'll go in more detail in my XDA written review. However, basically just a little rundown is it'll try to detect songs that are playing around you and then show it on the always on display and in a little menu that's buried in your settings that you can add a shortcut to on your launcher if you want. And what that'll do is that'll keep track of all the songs that are playing that you pass by throughout the day. So I've used it before where I was out in a shopping centre and it picked up on songs that I went through, that I passed by. And I was able to actually tap them, and you can go to Spotify or YouTube to then listen to the song. It'll search it for you. Features like that are great, especially because I'm a bit of a music nerd, so I enjoy having that because it saves me having to go and like Shazam a song, because chances are it's in the database. Because what this does is it runs entirely locally on your device, and you can test that by turning off mobile data and Wi-Fi. What it will do is it uses a local database that's regional based, and so I tested it with a couple of Irish bands as well, and it actually worked to pick them up, but I have a feeling that it wouldn't necessarily pick them up in the likes of America or India or Germany, specifically because it is a local regional database of a few hundred megabytes that it will then use to compare whatever is playing to that database, and then if it finds a match, it shows it on your lock screen. Other features as well are the live transcriptions that play. These are primarily accessibility, but what it will do is it will show a transcription of whatever's playing on the screen as like subtitles, so you can have subtitles for things that don't actually have subtitles, and it's reasonably accurate. Same as well with the voice assistant is also running on device, so a lot of the voice assistant commands are actually very fast, much faster than on other smartphones, because again, it doesn't need to go upload it to Google servers, have it processed, send it back to the device. It's all on your phone. And then finally, getting into that camera, the Google Pixel camera is actually amazing. I was really surprised. I've been so excited to talk about this phone for the simple reason of the camera. I took it outside. I live in a bit of the middle of nowhere, so I figured, you know what, I can probably get some nice astrophotography shots with this phone, and I was able to get something magnificent. I'm showing it on the screen at the moment, and I got a few others as well, but I mean, that first one is just gorgeous. Now, on top of that as well, I took it out just for regular photos, things like, you know, my cats primarily. You'll be seeing a lot of cat photos on the screen. And then going out even in the garden or anywhere really. Now, I'm very sad that this is obviously COVID time, so I can't really go to restaurants and stuff to try it on food, but I don't think there'll be any issue. The camera's fantastic. Even with that older IMX363 sensor, Google has still managed to make one of the best smartphone cameras of the year, and it's all primarily through processing. The optical image stabilization is actually great as well, and I'm showing you some video clips too right now on 1080p 60fps and 4K 60fps to show that off. It's pretty good and a lot better than previous Pixels, because I remember seeing video samples from previous Pixel devices and stabilization wasn't that great. It could be kind of jerky, but no, this is a lot better. Same with the audio quality as well from those videos. It is a lot more improved. Hey guys, so this is just me testing 1080p 60fps filming on the Pixel 5. It's a lovely sunny day. The sun is up there, as you can see. And I'm just testing out the optical image stabilization and EIS. So you can see it's a nice steady frame even though I'm walking. So overall, the Google Pixel 5 is in a weird position. It is definitely a flagship. You cannot deny it is a flagship because it is the premium product from Google. However, is it a flagship worthy of being compared to other flagships? That's a different question. And I think it is. I don't see why this can't be a flagship. I don't see why there was such an uproar when people found out that this would have the 765G. I reviewed the Nord, and while I obviously talked about it being overpriced and all that, I didn't have an issue with the phone. I thought the phone was good, I just thought the price was high. In regards to the Pixel, the software is clearly where a lot of the price goes into. As I already said, I wasn't a fan of Oxygen OS, so I couldn't really justify that in my mind to cover the cost of Oxygen OS. But the Pixel software is something different. It's clear that the Pixel software does something very different, because even the fact that it's using an older sensor from I believe it was used in the Pixel 3 and the Pixel 4. The fact they can get away with it in 2020 in the Pixel 5 and compete against the best of the best shows that Google knows what they're doing in the software department, at least in processing images. And I believe that this is the same for the overall smartphone, that a lot of costs have gone into optimization and software features and everything. And grand, if you are a hardcore gamer, you are better off going for a Snapdragon 865 device for the simple reason that the GPU will absolutely blow the 765G out of the water. But aside from that, anything else you want to do, you may as well consider the Pixel 5. Because the Pixel 5, as I kind of already touched on, is more or less an iPhone of the Android world in the closest sense you can get. It has fantastic haptics, it has a fantastic software experience that honestly I think at this stage is more optimized than newer iOS versions, which tend to be quite buggy at times. And the user experience overall across any devices that I've had is second to none. I can understand if you would rather have another flagship from another company just because of that Snapdragon 765G. But if you are not a hardcore gamer, or you're not really one to kind of care too much about specifications, at least look into the Pixel 5. I've been really enjoying mine. I think this could well be one of the top smartphones of the year because while it is a high price in the US, I won't disagree on that. €600 for one of these in Europe is not a bad price when you consider the competition. Even in the likes of the Nord, which is €400, if you pay €200 more, you're getting the better camera, you're getting the better software, you're getting faster updates, you're getting every single update for the next 3 years. You're getting wireless charging, and you're getting a couple of other just small little things, like if you care about the fingerprint sensor in the back, for example, instead of in the screen, things like that, because some people do prefer that kind of thing. Overall, the Pixel 5 is a massive win in my book. It's a bit I can understand that there are other devices on the market, so I won't say that it is better than those, especially than the likes of the Nord, because that is still cheaper while I still called it overpriced. I'm not ignoring that. I think there is a place for the Pixel 5, even when you compare it against the likes of the S20 FE. But I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know, because I'm a bit polarized on this. I like it and I can recommend it, but the price is going to be an issue for some and not for others, and I'd like to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. This has been Adam Conway with XCA TV. Thank you for watching my Google Pixel 5 review.